Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for our 2-point holes episode. Let's get started. Alright, so got the materials. Horizon line, as per usual. Vanishing points at the edge, right up on that edge. If you need to label them, that's up to you. And kind of like normally, I'm going to put 3 cubes over here, punch holes in them, and then you can do the same thing over here on your end. Alright, starting up top. Always starting with that corner, connecting the dots. La 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 la. I've thought about putting in some background music, but I figure you'd rather listen to your own music and this at the same time. Chop it off. Crisscross applesauce. There's our cube. Erase what you don't need. There we go. Need one that crosses the horizon line. Save myself some erasing this time. Just like usual, I'm rolling fast. You can always pause it or rewind it, come back to it. Erase what I don't need. Anything outside of the cube. And the horizon line that's inside the cube needs to go. Now if I had a hold of it all the way through the cube, then I might bring the horizon line back. But we'll see if that happens. Una más, one more down here at the bottom. Make this one a little bit smaller, at least flatter. Chop it off. Crisscross. There we go. Less erasing, loving it. Hope you all are doing well out there in virtual land. It's Friday here when I'm making this video. Probably a different day when you get it, but I like Fridays. Anyways, back to less random stuff. Holes, how do we make them? You're going to start off with how tall or short you want the hole to be. So I'll make them on multiple sides. I'll shade it. You come back and do it the left side. I might do one on the left side just so you know how the light source will affect things. So let's punch a hole right here. It's going to connect it to the vanishing points. That's how we get the top and bottom of it. It's kind of like making a one-sided or a flat box, if that makes sense. You don't need the line to go any further than the edge because your hole can't go outside the box, right? Unless you live in an alternate universe, maybe. Alright, so since things get smaller as they go to the vanishing point, sorry about that, that's my phone going off. Since it's going further to the vanishing point, I'm going to make this side a little bit smaller. Actually, I'll keep it close to the same. There you go. So, if you had a billboard or something like that, you could stop there and start drawing in your letters or your words on your billboard, but we're making holes. So, can I take this to the vanishing point? Nope. This one, nope. This one, nope. That leaves this one. So, the hole can't go any further than here as far as being able to see it. So, I'm going to stop when it hits the other wall. Now you could end it right there and have a huge room, but I want to show you how to make parts that just come in a little bit. So here's how you do it. Since this line is straight up and down, the next line is going to be straight up and down. Here's where it gets tricky. Since this line lines up the vanishing point, this one does too. So I line it up with this vanishing point way over there and kick out the jams. And I get rid of this guy. And so that could be a hole, or this could be a wall, depending on how you shade it. We'll come back to that when we start the shading. I'll do another one down here. We'll switch sides though, how about that? Let's say I want a door. So I'll make it small this time. Line up the top and the bottom of the vanishing point. And chop it off. Can this go to the vanishing point? Nope. This one, nope. Nope. Only this one. Going to the opposite side. Stop when you hit the edge of your hole. Boom. So right now I've got a hallway. Could leave it there, depends on your purpose for your drawing. I'm gonna stop it and chop it. So since this line is straight up and down, this one's gonna be straight up and down. Since this one goes to the vanishing point, my next line also needs to go to the vanishing point. There we go. And I just erase this part right here. Ta-da! I'll do one more side down here and then I'll show you a top hole and a bottom hole. And then you get to do all that over there. So basically you should have at least 2 holes per box. I'll do another one here just for fun. Oh, yeah. How tall is it going to be? Now, let's say I wanted it to look like they lined up, right? I could very lightly line it here, and then go this way. I'm showing you some tricky stuff here. Same thing here. I want it to appear like these are the same size in real life, even though in the picture they're going to appear to be different sizes. So now it's the illusion of these being the same size in real life, or illusion life, but on the page they're going to appear smaller over here. So I'm going to, sorry about the loud bell there, chop it off, chop it off. Now I can come back in and reinforce that bottom and the top. Now if you wanted windows or something going all the way around, you could leave these lines, but I don't need them anymore. Can I take this to the VP? This one? Nope, nope. Only this one. Going opposite side. There we go. But just like this one, I want it to only go in a little bit. Go. And since this goes to that vanishing point, I need to make the next line going to the vanishing point. There we are. Get rid of this. Now we have two that kind of line up. I like it. I'll do another one on the side down here, and then I'll do this top and bottom. Let's do a let's do one at the very bottom. Skinny one. And since this is going to the vanishing point, I'm probably going to make the space that's over here smaller over there. I'll reinforce my lines so that I know where it stops. There we go. So it looks like maybe part of a old school computer or something like that. Can't take any of these corners to the vanishing point except for this one. It's got room to go that way. I'm going to stop when it hits the top. Rhyming. There you go. And just for fun, I'm going to leave that one. I'm not even going to make an edge. So you can do that on one of your boxes, but for all the rest you need an actual windowsill or whatever you want to call that. So how do you do the tops and bottoms? Similar. Since this lines up the vanishing point, my edge also needs to. I'm going to start there. And I'm going to connect these two to that. I'm going to stop when it hits down here. Draw it lightly at first. There we go. And once again, since things get smaller as we get to the vanishing point, I'm going to make this space smaller down here. And it should line up with what? That vanishing point right there. Connect. Boom. Now since I did it so lightly on the others, I'm probably going to go back and reinforce those. Make them strong. And this one. There we go. It's a little messy there. Now, unlike this, these are going to go straight up because you're kind of echoing this over here. And you can get as fancy as you want with this. I'm going to keep it simple for now. I'm just going to go up a little bit. Now, my next two lines are going to go to vanishing points. This one is going to line up with this vanishing point over here. And this one is going to line up over there. There we go. Now, something to consider. If I don't want this to just only go in this far and then that be another panel, I could take this little dot here, this back corner, and draw a line up from there to there. And that would give the illusion of the back of the box. Let's do that. Bam. Same thing in here. How do I give the illusion that I can see the back wall here? I'm going to connect this little dot to that vanishing point. If you guys are Art 1, I wouldn't be showing you this, but since you're Art 2, you get the special treatment. It's not going to be too much distance than that. I want to make sure that it really lines up with it. Can hit that dot, yep. There we go. Now, since this front line is not very dark, it looks funky, so I'm going to go back and reinforce the edge of that one. And the top one. There we go. So you can imagine that this line would meet, but it's behind that wall so we can't see it. Let me just make sure that I can't. Nope, it's right. It almost makes it to it. So that's why it looks a little bit funky, because your brain wants to be able to see it hit that. But I'm going to leave it. So, fancy box number 1 is done. Fancy box number 2 is done. Fancy box number 3, not done. I'm going to start with how far across it goes. And I'm just going to start this one right there. And we'll connect these to that vanishing point. Do it lightly so you can erase if you need to. I'm going to make this a shorter hole. How do I chop it off? I need to go to that vanishing point. I'm going to reinforce this line. Cool. So now we have a skylight, right? But I need to bring it in some, like I did here and here. I'm going to bring it straight down because I'm echoing this. Now if you wanted to bring it as like a shaft that goes all the way down, you could have it go all the way down. That's a little crooked. It'll be alright. But since I want it to be like these, I'm going to chop it. So since this line goes to that vanishing point, my next one needs to too. There we go. Then I meet up at that intersection, but I kick out from that vanishing point. So line it up, kick it out. And then I'm gonna get rid of this guy. Nope. Voila. So as far as shading goes, for today's purposes, I'm gonna make my light source right here. So it's coming at the side, right? So that means the left side of most of my buildings are gonna be medium. So go ahead and shade these in, kind of medium light. And as I've said in previous videos, you may use whatever type of shading you want. Hatching, cross-hatching, swirling, I don't care. Just trying to get a mostly uniform tone or shade or tint or whatever you want to call it. I think I just mixed up some vocabulary there, but it'll be okay. And if this is one of my final projects, I'd probably be a little more careful with the shading, since this is one of the learning practice ones. I'm not going to get quite as serious about the shading. Today's purposes, we're really more worried about making proper recesses or holes in your stuff. Make sense? Hope so. Now, depending on whether you had light sources inside your cube, you can do the shading way different types of stuff. But the bottom's definitely going to be darker, right? So, if this was one of my big projects, I'd probably come back with some ebony pencil here and there to add a little more contrast. Not everywhere, because it's like chocolate cake. A slice or two is good, but eating the whole cake, not so good. That is a quote from my high school art teacher. Her name was Mrs. Thompson. And one of the reasons I'm doing my shading at the top of the page first is if I do it down here and then I go up here, I'm going to be smearing it all around. And it's going to end up right there on my hand like it is already. Clean this up a little bit. Not too shabby. The interior got a lot more leeway, but since this is dark, I'm gonna make this dark. Like I said, if it was a real city or something and you've got lighting sources in there like lamps or sconces or whatever you want to call it, it might be different. But we're pretending for all intents and purposes that there is not much light emitting from any devices inside this thing. Get out of here, fly. go. So for, say, like the ceiling or whatever, you've got a lot of leeway there. Could do some medium. Directional shading would probably help with contrast, because it's going to be not much different than the surface out here. And you could go darker if you wanted to. I think I might. Cross hatch it. I know it's going to look funky, but I'm getting the feeling that maybe I should make this all the way dark. So I'm going to do that. That will help with the contrast of this front surface. Now I know it looks funky because you want this line and that line to line up. If I come back here, help this guy out a little bit, should be alright. And theoretically, if the light's coming from over here and it can't go through that wall, these insides are going to be a little darker than the outside. You got a lot of leeway when it comes to the interiors. I'm trying not to make it too complicated for you. Could use a different type of shading inside. That would probably help with the contrast. So don't worry as much about the shading, worry more about the holes being properly made. Alright, moving on along. Left side, shaded. I'm going to try and experiment on this one. I'm just going to do the interior dark. If you do a lot of shading, you might find that you need to sharpen your pencil when you come back to doing line work. Good. Alright, moving on along. This one's medium. Start out a little darker in here. and lighten up as it comes out. Let's see what this looks like. And like I said before, you have a lot of leeway when it comes to interiors, because theoretically you could have light sources in there. Could make this all the way black if I wanted to, just for contrast purposes. Doesn't look too bad. Since light's coming this way, I'm going to leave that white, but I'm going to make this kind of medium. It's a little bit too dark, but it'll be okay. Since this is super dark in here, I'm going to make in here super dark too. Now, if I wanted that to be just a panel, like this is a swimming pool, and that's the bottom of the swimming pool, I would leave it white because the light would be hitting it. But since I want this to be an actual hole, I'm going to shade it in. And that's that. I'm going to do one cube over here, and then you can put the holes in on it, and then you do another cube up here and another cube down there. Should be 2 holes on each cube. So let's knock out 1 cube here. I'll make it a skinny one. And I'm now realizing that I really didn't need to do this one for you, because I'm thinking about 1-point perspective when it makes such a difference with left versus right. But since I said I was going to do it, I'll do it. There we go. Get rid of that horizon line. And let's punch a hole in it. Oh yeah, but you're doing a lot of shading, so I can get me a new pencil out. Since that line cuts away from that vanishing point, same thing here, I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna chop it off. Like the old Xbox a little bit, and can't take that to anything, it's already gone. Can't take that, it's already gone. This time I can take 2, so I'm kind of glad I did this, because over here we didn't have any holes that crossed the horizon, so this is something you need to know. Actually, happy accidents. I think Bob Ross uses that a lot. Probably went a little too dark, but it'll be okay. And there you have an interior. On this one, I'm not going to do an edge. Like I said, one over here and one over here, you can do it as a whole indentation without edges. But I do need another hole, right? 2 holes per box. I'm gonna put one right there. And connect it to the vanishing point. And this one I will make an edge on it. So that one's already going, that one's already going, so that means I gotta take this corner and this corner and go opposite. Try to do it lightly. Not even gonna go that far because I know I'm chopping it off. Sorry about that. Kick out from this side. This one's gonna be a little trickier. So you can barely see the edge on that one, but you get the idea. Now, if I wanted to figure out where this back corner was, I would have to do some extra work. I would have to figure out where either this line or this line would meet up. So I'll do it just for y'all. So if I connected this to the vanishing point, do it real light. And since I went from that corner, I guess I should go from that exterior corner. Oh, look at that. It lines up right with this line already, so I didn't even need to do that. So there, you won't be able to see that back corner. Now, unless, let's say that I'm starting there, because this comes up, right? That comes up. Let's see what happens if I do that. Aha. So if I pretended this exterior has a thick wall all the way around, this line would come up about back there. So that would be that back corner that we can't see. I know it looks really funky. You don't have to do that. You could just do it all dark. And I feel like making dark interiors is cheating, but we're going to cheat. And same thing here. Since that's so dark, I kind of feel like I need to make this dark as it comes out. Now a little bit of light might be getting in there, so I'm going to fade it as it gets to the edge. Kind of playing around with artistic license here. I might not be following science, believe it or not. But I do feel like this ceiling needs to be dark. Helps a little bit, and the light's going to be able to make it to that floor, so I'm going to leave that. Left side does need to be medium though. Like I said, it's okay if you go outside and come back and erase it, clean it up. Voila. So, your mission is to create another box up here with 2 holes, and another box here with 2 holes. The ones on the top and bottom should have a funky side, right? So, the one up top, you should have a hole in the bottom. The one down here, you should have a hole in the top. Now you get to choose over here whether the hole is on the left or right. It's up to you, your call. Take a good picture of it from above, put it on slides. Make sure you share and make it public so that anyone can click on it with the link. And you might want to just go ahead and put that on your site and then submit the link to the site on Canvas. Holla if you have any questions. Peace out.